And welcome back to Sunday Square Off. We're going to get to some quick questions from the candidates in just a moment. First, Senator Lesko, you want to respond to Dr. Tibernini's statement about the school voucher expansion.
Yeah, I'm a strong supporter of improving education no matter where it takes place, and I'm quite frankly the only candidate here that has voted consistently for education funding increases since the Great Recession. But what's really shocking to me is that Hero has paid for a TV ad attacking me for referring to the ballot a temporary sales tax that the voters overwhelmingly approved that went to education. If that hadn't passed, we would have had to cut education by $3 billion and 20% of the teachers would have had to been fired. I think it's very disingenuous that she says she's for supporting education, but attacks me for voting to refer to the ballot a temporary sales tax to get us through the Great Recession.
So,
can I respond to
well,
that?
I just want to give viewers some background. That goes back to 2010 when Governor Brewer proposed a penny increase in the sales tax over 3 years, amounted to $3 billion basically to bail Arizona out of the recession. It was billed as being money for schools. Some of it was, some of it wasn't. But as I recall, we talked about this on Square Off a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you said, yes, you referred it, but you didn't support the tax because you don't support taxes. Is that correct?
I personally did not vote for it. However, it was referred to the ballot. The voters decided, and the voters overwhelmingly decided to support the 1-cent sales tax. However, my opponent, Hero, is bashing me on TV ads for supporting a referral for the voters to decide. It's very disingenuous.
Dr. Tibernini, please respond.
So let's be clear, that ad is not about the education funding. That ad is about integrity, it's about honesty, and it's about who Senator Lesko actually represents. She made it clear there that she was letting the lobbyists guide her decision making and that she was not being honest with the voters. And that is the concern, is that there are corporate lobbyists that she supports that clearly drive her agenda. And the other part of the ad was talking about this, the alleged money laundering that she's currently under investigation for. That complaint was filed by a well-respected, nonpartisan organization that actually has folks in leadership that are Republican, that were associated with Republican leaders.
Okay, I need to respond to that.
They alleged money laundering. And let me just say that, look, there are state legislators all across this nation that have run for Congress, and they've managed not to use their state funds for their federal races. Senator Lesko decided to find a loophole. That just seems like more of the same of that corrupt politician that we are tired of. We want people fighting for us, not for their corporate lobbyists.
I'm going to stop it there. I want to give folks some background on this. You face a federal campaign finance complaint after your campaign funneled $50,000 from your state campaign fund to a federal fund that was supporting you. The allegation is that's illegal. You can't funnel that money to a federal fund, and furthermore, any contact with that federal fund was illegal. This is before the Federal Elections Commission, and it will play out over the next several months. Your response, please.
Well, it's a totally frivolous complaint brought on by one of my political opponents, and the group that is doing this other complaint has a long track record of going after Republican candidates. This is totally political. The state complaint was dismissed. I am fully confident the other ones will be dismissed. This is just a political attack. Everything was totally legal.
And I do want to add this group is headed by Trevor Potter, a very well-known Republican campaign finance lawyer. He was John McCain's lawyer in 2008.
It also has a long track record, I hope you will also say, of attacking Republicans. It even went after Citizens United. I mean, this is not a conservative group. It's not a bipartisan group. Totally liberal. Just because they have somebody in there that happens to be registered Republican, they have a long track record of going after Republicans. This is a political maneuver, and that's all it is.
All right.
Well, it's a complaint filed with the FEC, and again, this is a leader of the organization. It's a nonpartisan organization led by somebody who's worked with George Bush Sr. and John McCain. So for her to allege that it is targeted by partisan basis is not really, that's very disingenuous.
Got to end it there. We're going to get to some quick hits now. Okay, immigration. Dr. Tibernini touched on that in our first segment. Should Congress fully fund President Trump's border wall? He wants about $25 billion. Should Congress fully fund it, yes or no?
Yes, he should. That's what he promised to the people. The people elected him. The constituents in my district want a secure border. They want a border wall. They want more border agents, better technology, and they want to know who's coming across the border. They want to be safe. There's so many drugs and, you know, human trafficking coming across the border. They have border walls in the San Diego area that have been very effective. And so this is something that was promised that needs to be fully funded. It's very disappointing and doesn't fit our district that Hero is totally opposed to the wall. This is what the constituents in our district want. She is not a fit for Congressional District 8. Hero it seems like a nice lady, but she'd be a better fit for Tucson or San Francisco or something like that. Your values just do not align with the constituents in District 8.
Please respond to the border wall question.
I'm going to have to take a little offense
said.
at that because I'm a 21-year resident of this West Valley. So I know my community and I know our values. I'm as much of a member of the community as anybody. So I know what folks in the West Valley want. And I will tell you the wall is not going, I understand it makes people feel safer. It doesn't make anybody safer. And instead of fear-mongering, let's talk about the facts. The facts are that the drugs don't come over the wall over that border. They come through the ports of entry, the legal ports of entry. Could be in a car right behind you when you're coming back from Rocky Point. That is known fact by the DEA. Those are facts.
To the border,
the other thing is the largest growing number of
it.
undocumented folks are those folks who are overstaying their visas. A wall does nothing to protect us from that. There are better ways to spend $25 billion. Again, Senator McCain and many people on the Republican side agree with that. You build a 30-foot wall, they're going to have a 31-foot ladder. Let's be smart. More drones, enhanced security, border patrol. I want secure borders as much as the next person. There are smart ways to get there, and we know it.
Okay,
Hero has been on record, actually, of saying she wants to divert the money from the wall to high-speed rail. This is not what our constituents want.
I said there are better ways to invest that much money. Parts of that money can go to infrastructure. Parts of it could go to something like that, clean energy jobs. Of course, we're talking about $25 billion. How about education? Debbie, that would be a great place to use some of that money too.
Yes,
there
I'm
are
the
lots
one that
of ways
voted to increase
strengthen,
education.
and this is the values. These are the people in the West Valley agree with me on these issues. I'm confident.
Got into this part of the discussion there. Let's move on to gun safety. Students across the country this weekend are rallying for solutions to gun violence in their schools. Dr. Tipernini, give us one solution you'd support and one you would never support.
Well, one solution I would support, or let's say the one solution I would never support. I would not support arming teachers. I think that is a ludicrous idea. It is enough to ask our teachers to educate our young people. We are not going to now ask them to be sharpshooters. That is ludicrous. What I do support is closing those loopholes that allow folks to circumvent the idea of comprehensive background checks. We know that if you buy a gun through a gun show or an online sale or person-to-person, you're allowed to circumvent the background check. We want to know that guns are not getting in the hands of the wrong people, the people who want to do us harm. And that's something that Governor Ducey even reiterated the other day, that we want to make sure that the guns don't get into the wrong hands. I look at it as a public health issue. We can agree that we support the Second Amendment, which I do fully, and we can agree that it's not mutually exclusive from having common sense gun reforms. Even Judge Antonin Scalia, who is a beloved conservative judge, was on the Supreme Court, passed away. He clearly stated that the Second Amendment is not an unlimited right.
All right, gun safety. Solution you would support and one you would never support.
You know, these are really sad. They're obviously people that have some type of mental illness. So we need to increase resources for mental illness. We also need to, I agree with President Trump in that we need to have a plan that people can anonymously report threats, people that are going to do threats on the schools, on mobile apps. We also need to do something similar. I support the concept of what Governor Ducey is doing. We need the courts to be able to go in and say, if you are a threat to yourself or to others, then the courts, through due process, can limit access to people's guns. What I don't want is some type of knee-jerk reaction of banning guns to law-abiding citizens.
Okay.
And nobody's asking for banning guns to law-abiding citizens.
But you are asking for registration.
I'm asking for comprehensive background checks. That's not registration.
Okay, and last question.
It's on your website.
The issue of abortion. State as clearly as you can your position on abortion.
I'm pro-life. I believe that in women's rights, I'm a woman, and so I feel sorry for the women that are going through bad situations. We need to be able to give them as many options as possible, but we need to preserve life. These are innocent, unborn babies. I am pro-life.
Dr. Tipper-Ninny.
Well, let's be clear. You're anti-choice, I'm pro-choice. We're all pro-life. There's probably no people who are more pro-life than physicians. So I contest sort of the premise of your statement. Look, I think abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. We need to make sure it's safe, make sure we're protecting the women who have to make that devastating choice.
Do you support abortions to the very end?
Let me finish. It is a decision that should be between a woman, her physician, her partner, and her faith.
Right.
Government has no role in that. It is legal. We have the Supreme Court, Roe v. Wade in place, and all legislation should be in accordance to that. And if we want to make it rare, which is everybody's goal, comprehensive sex education in the classrooms, access to contraception. We know, research has shown us that is the best way to reduce the number of unwanted pregnancies.
I would like to know if you support late-term abortions.
Well, look, Debbie, less than 1% of all abortions are late term, and the only time they occur is when they are a risk to the woman's life, or because it is a congenital condition that is incompatible.
Do you support them?
Can I finish my answer? That's incompatible with quality of life for the fetus. Those are incredibly rare. They're heartbreaking. As a physician, I understand that. And those, again, are because they're trying to save the woman's life, or because there is a condition that the child will not survive. Nobody chooses to do that. That is a heartbreaking choice, and that should be between the woman and her physician and her partner. That has no role for a legislator who has no understanding of the science behind it.
I guess she supports late-term abortion.
I think I've made my position clear.
Okay, and we're going to end our quick hits right there. It is time now for your 30-second closing arguments. Dr. Tipper-Ninny, you are first. Please look into that camera.
Well, thank you, Bram, so much for this opportunity, and thank you, Debbie, also for being here. I appreciate the chance to discuss some really critical issues. Look, I have been a 21-year resident of the West Valley. My roots are here, our children were born and raised here, and I'm so proud to be the candidate for this district. I am an ER doctor, I am a cancer research advocate, I am a problem solver, a healer, and I have been in service all my life in those capacities. What I seek to do is fight for the families of CD8, Medicare, Social Security, health care, public education, and economic opportunity. These are the things that will improve their lives, and I'm ready to go to D.C. to fight on your behalf.
Thank you very much. Senator Lesko.
Well, Washington is in a gridlock, and I have a long track record of working with both Republicans and Democrats, taking on big issues and getting them done. And that's what I will take to Washington, D.C. I've been involved in the West Valley for 20 years. If you have any questions, please call me at my home number, 623-878-9761. I'd be honored to have your vote.
Thank you very much, Senator Lesko.
Thank you.
And thank you both very much for a very vigorous debate. A reminder, the deadline to register for the special election is midnight on Monday. Early ballots go to the voters on Wednesday. Election day is April 24th. The winner will have to stand for election a second time in the August primary and then again in November. That's our show for this week. Thanks very much to all of our guests. Thank you so much for joining us. See you back here next weekend for another round of Sunday Square Off.